Top of the hour, so we are going to get started again. I guess depending on your location, good morning or early good afternoon to you. Mike Anderson, National Marketing Director here at American Independent Marketing, with you this morning, joined by Tony Clark. Tony's the Regional VP for Senior Supplemental Insurance for Aetna. He's joining us today from the far western reaches of Iowa, near Council Bluffs. We certainly appreciate Tony making his time available. Just a couple of quick review things for folks that are new to our webinar process. We do record these. As such, we have everybody on mute right now, and we'll keep them on mute during the course of the presentation. We'll open it up at the end for questions so that this way we can get a good quality recording. We will get the webinar recording processed and up on our website hopefully by early mid-afternoon today. Next up on our webinar schedule is November 6th. We're going to have Larry Moore from Lincoln Financial. He'll be with Stephanie Paul, one of our regional marketing directors, and they're going to take some time and go over Lincoln's alternative product lineup and some things that you can do with those products. So, all of that said, we are ready to go. Tony is here and he's ready to go. So, I'm going to say take it away, Tony, and let you get after it.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for joining me this morning, or as Mike said, or the afternoon, depending on where you might be. I'm kind of neutral, being in the Central Standard Time Zone, so I can go either way, I guess. But no, thanks again for having me, and I'm glad to.
We can live with that.
What's that?
Nope, that was me. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. No worries. But anyway, thanks for having me on, like I said, and I'm going to go through one of our products. We are, predominantly, and I'll get in a little bit about the company. A lot of you may know enough about Aetna, maybe, too much. I don't know. But as I go in there and talk a little bit about one of our ancillary products, the recovery care, we're kind of known in the market space, I guess, in the senior market space as a Medicare supplement company. That's kind of what we built our roots on. But one of the things that we've really, over the last probably 7-8 years, we've really tried to zero in on not just being a med supp company, but also offering what we call ancillary products or complementary products. Because one thing that we found, and this, especially in the Medicare space, is that Medicare doesn't cover everything. And that's where you folks, your expertise comes in, because you guys and gals understand that. And when you think about Medicare covering skilled care, in recovery for needing to recover, this particular product I'm going to talk about today is really geared for that. And we do have a whole suite of products. So be sure to check out our other products, whether it's hospital indemnity, our cancer, heart attack, or stroke product, etc. One thing I will say is you do need to check our product availability chart, if you want to call it that, because depending on what state you're selling in, one or two or maybe more of these products could be not available, or maybe they're all available. It's just kind of hit or miss. Whatever we were able to, whatever deals we could hammer out with the Department of Insurance in that given state. So recovery care is actually kind of a tough one. Because a lot of states don't find these products of value, and I don't understand the theory behind that. These products are tremendously more affordable. The underwriting's easier. It's giving people care at a time that they need it to keep people hopefully out of the Medicaid space or the Medi-Cal space, depending where you're at, and so forth. So let's just dive in here a little bit and talk a little bit about who we are. And when I say we, a lot of you know that Aetna was purchased by CVS, which is obviously known for their pharmaceutical sales and so forth. But the nice thing is we are still going by the name of Aetna. Our headquarters that we we do all of our Medicare supplements and all of our ancillary products. We do not do the Medicare Advantage or the PDP from this office, but our office is headquartered actually in Franklin, Tennessee, suburb there of Nashville. Just actually moved about 2 weeks ago into a brand new office dedicated solely to us, and it's the first time, I think, since Randall Baskin created Continental Life Insurance Company that we've had our own standalone building. So it's kind of fun, neat facility. If you're ever out in that Franklin, Tennessee, Nashville area, be sure to let us know. We'd love to take you around the office and give you a little tour. We have dedicated agent services team out there in Franklin. Business persistency, all this kind of comes together. Business persistency, competitive premium rates. A lot of that all stems from if you're selling Medicare or you're selling recovery care, the idea is we want to sell more products to people, not to raise premiums, not to make their lives miserable, but to help them when they need it. And the cool thing about the ancillary products that we offer is they're not expensive. They're very affordable. And as I mentioned, the underwriting is tremendously easier than, say, like a long-term care policy. It's even easier than trying to qualify for a Medicare supplement from an underwriting standpoint. And so that they all go together. The business persistency is important. We know the more policies that you can get or you can sell within a household, that the better the persistency just is. I always think about a lot of folks, you might be in the same boat where you have your homeowner's insurance through a particular P&C company. And if you have multiple cars or your house or your boat or your jet skis or whatever it is, your RV, the more things you kind of bundle, if you want to call it that, you can get a discount. But they know that odds are that the more you put with them, the less chance there is of you actually, dropping coverage, unless you sell a car or something like that. Obviously, you're not going to have it. But competitive premium rates, that's probably more so a statement from really just a Medicare market space. Top commissions and growing renewals. We know that's what this business is all about, especially the growing the renewals. And cross-selling opportunities that will complete the senior market portfolio. So that's kind of where we come from. I mean, our roots are actually out in Tennessee. As far as our financial rating, we have an A rating. Now, this is just for the Aetna suite of products. So if you talk about, and I say suite of products, I'm talking about our Medicare supplement, that being with the entities that you see here. Those 4 entities are the entities that we sell our products on. Any given one of those entities can be a Medicare supplement entity in a given state. And the nice thing about it is when you look at the last one there, the 4th bullet point down, Continental Life Insurance Company of Brentwood, Tennessee, that is the entity that all of our ancillary products are placed on or written on. So when you talk about recovery care, or I was talking about hospital indemnity, or I was talking about cancer, heart attack, or stroke, those types of products are all on Continental Life Insurance Company of Brentwood, Tennessee paper. Just to so you're clear on that. The other. And then if you take the Continental Life and the other 3, that's where you get into, any given Medicare entity that we're selling in a given state. So A happens to be, as far as the financial rating, is the 3rd highest rating out of 16 possible. That again by AM Best. And what I like to tell folks too, that if you're ever in a situation, because we know some of our senior folks are, they're pretty internet savvy, they get out there, they do their homework, that if it does become something where people want to know, tie in financials, obviously you can use the Aetna financials. They're based out of Hartford, Connecticut, have been for 167 years, and you can, feel free to use those. They have all of the financial ratings and rankings from the various companies out there that do that. So that's a little bit about who we are. I know this isn't I don't know how much time I really should take on this, but I don't want to bore you to tears. So let's just jump into what we call our protection series, one of our protection series products, which is the recovery care. And, I mentioned it early on where people, have a tendency to think that, if they have a Medicare policy, for instance, that, it's going to cover everything that they, all their services, whether it be, for skilled care, intermediate, custodial, etc. And we know, if you've dealt with the market space, that that's not the case. So does your client have coverage for a skilled stay, for home health care, or nursing care? So we had an older product like this. This product is relatively new. We renamed it recovery care. In the old days, it was called nursing facility care. But, really recovery is what it's all about. And, if you think about, having the freedom to choose how and where a person wants to recover should something happen to them, whether it's a heart attack, stroke, etc. This is an important part of the conversation to have with your clients. And, again, the policyholder has the freedom to use the benefits for all levels of nursing facility. I mentioned already skilled, intermediate, and custodial. also services in an assisted living facility, as well as a home care benefit on here too. So we have a separate standalone home care policy as well. I know today we're discussing recovery care, which again is the the nursing facility side of things. But the beautiful thing about it is this same recovery care, the reason it's really one I like to talk about, almost more than the home care, is because you have the option to have the recovery care portion of it and add home care. And if you don't want to necessarily load up on the front end on the recovery care side of things, but you want to load up on the home care side, you can. So you have the flexibility to kind of build this as you see the need or the fit for your client. And so when we get into the product itself, we have a base benefit, which is really your daily nursing facility, right? That's what we're talking about here, where we're talking about assisted living, that includes assisted living, bed reservation, but it's going to pay a daily benefit for confinement in a nursing or assisted living facility. And again, it's tied to the provider not being able to perform 2 or more of the activities of daily living, or the ADLs, or has a cognitive impairment. So if you think about this product, I talked about being in the senior market space. We do a lot of Medicare, but this policy actually can be issued for people between the ages of 50 and goes up to age 89. That's one thing that's nice about all of our ancillary products or complementary products. They all go up to age 89. So whether you're talking hospital indemnity, you're talking cancer, heart attack, stroke, you're talking home care, obviously the recovery care here, etc., all go up to age 89. Some of the policies we offer actually go down when you talk about cancer insurance, hospital indemnity, go down to age 18. So even if you happen to be in that underage 65 market space, I mean, this product goes down to age 50. The home care product does the same thing, ages 50 to 89. So you have the option, the flexibility, depending on whatever market space you're selling, to potentially help someone out. So as I mentioned, it's a daily benefit. You can purchase or sell up to $300 daily. That's the maximum. And then simply you'll choose they'll have the choice of how many covered days you want the coverage to go, 90 days, 180, 270, or 360. And the lifetime maximum on the benefit is 2 times or twice the number of covered days. And what makes this nice is that you have the flexibility, again, to build this to whatever, if they're looking for basically or essentially 2 years of coverage. The reason I get asked sometimes why you don't have 365 days. It's 360 days because of the fact that a lot of the Department of Insurance, if you go 365 days, it is not considered short-term care. It gets more in the long-term care market space. So it has to be less than 365. So we just cut it at 360. But again, you can see 90, 180, 270, or 360 days. And then you also have the opportunity to select a waiting period. Do you want the benefits and the coverage to begin day 1 or, first day 20, or on the 100th day? So it's really kind of a neat concept. And you do have to, you see down here, for those of you that are watching the actual webinar and can see it, at least 1 unit, which is a $10 per day benefit of daily hospital indemnity, needs to be purchased at the time you're selling this. And the reason that is, you may think, well, what the heck's that? What's that all about? These types of products, believe it or not, when we filed them with the Department of Insurance, they're filed actually as hospital indemnity plans, even though the whole concept of like this product is nursing facility and home care, but it's filed as a hospital indemnity plan. So it will actually come with at least a minimum of $10 per day for each day somebody happens to be in the hospital. Okay. Again, you can up that, and I'll touch on that actually this next slide when it comes up here for you. The daily hospital indemnity benefit, again, same age bracket, 50 to 89, and it pays a daily hospital benefit if the policyholder is confined in a hospital. And it also includes observation stays. That's a huge, huge deal right now that's been going on for several years, but where and you'll see like even our hospital indemnity product does cover observation stays as well. It's become a big deal where people are, matter of fact, it happened to my mother-in-law here a couple years ago where she had a TIA, actually a couple of mini strokes, if you want to call it that, and was in the hospital, and she'd been in there 5 or 6 days, and one would think that, okay, surely this, she's unable to really do anything herself. Surely she's actually being held, or had been admitted to the hospital. Well, it turns out she hadn't been. So we made sure that, in order for her Medicare and so forth to carry out, because she was going to need rehab, we made sure that they did get her classified as actually being admitted. So the people out there that are, if you go out and you look at statistics and you look at costs and things, not unusual for people to get hit with a $35,000 bill that their insurance is not covering, simply because the fact that they thought they were actually admitted to the hospital, but they were actually being kept under observation. So this daily hospital benefit, indemnity benefit, as I mentioned, it's going to come with a $10 benefit, but you have the option to beef that up to $300 a day as well. And you can, it's 20 days per period of care, and there is a lifetime maximum. Again, this is just on the daily hospital indemnity benefit of 365 days. So, again, 20 days per period of care. So if they are in the hospital, and what's nice about it is, let's say something happens where someone is in the hospital, but they're not going to utilize the nursing facility or the home care, but they're in the hospital. They can still collect benefits on this daily hospital indemnity benefit. So it's still a value, they're still, if they only had the minimum of $10 a day, they'd get 10 in their 5 days, 10 days or whatever, they're going to get $50 or $100 or whatever it adds up to be. But again, the policy will still pay out a benefit for daily hospitalization. I talked a little bit about a home care benefit, and this is the only optional benefit that we have on here as far as, if you want to call it a rider. And I think, again, whether you like to load up on the front end with a nursing facility and kind of geared towards home care, or if you want to build up both, that way a person would have the coverage if they should be admitted to a nursing facility, a skilled facility, custodial, etc., or if they can receive care at home. One of the nice things about having the home care benefit in here is this actually works. This rider, this optional rider, works exactly how our standalone home care product works, except for this is part of, a package. So it will pay for each week a beneficiary receives at least 3 or more professional home care visits for at least 1 hour each. And again, that's provided that the beneficiary can't perform 2 or more of the ADLs, okay, activities of daily living. And you can purchase up to $1,200 a week. So as I talk about this benefit, now you'll notice on here that it talks about being steered or the driver of it is provided the beneficiary can't perform 2 or more of their ADLs. If you look at our home care product, standalone home care product, that actually has a different trigger mechanism on it. It's actually not ADLs. It's actually a medical necessity. So the underwriting on the home care product's a little different. It's from the aspect of what we'll take. For instance, on the home care product, if you have somebody that has Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that, we can take those people on the home care product where they may not qualify or wouldn't qualify necessarily for this recovery care product. So if you get a chance and you are interested in this recovery care and the home care product happens to be available in the same state you're selling or however you're marketing, take a look at both products, because you might find, hey, look, I can't help you necessarily maybe with what we were thinking going down this road with the recovery care product. However, one thing I can do is I can help you with the home care benefit. And that way, if something happens, to where you are able to go home or you could get treatment at home, you can at least receive care in your home where you want to be anyway. Because the last thing anybody really wants to think about, right, is going to a nursing facility or something like that. And when you think about it, the average cost right now of a nursing facility is roughly about $72,000 a year. And that's the average, because obviously in some states it's higher. It's going to be higher in California than it is in Iowa, or it's going to be higher in New Jersey or New York than it is in Kansas. So you got to keep that in mind too. But again, I would strongly encourage you, if you get a chance, take a look at both products. But if you want to go towards the recovery care, the point I'm trying to make here is that you do have the option to beef up the home care benefit if that's what you want to go for, if that's what your customer is more interested in. I touched a little bit a couple of times on mentioning a period of care. And what a period of care is in our definition. We've got some great sales material. If you haven't checked out our packets, our brochure, one thing that we've tried to do is we've actually tried to have our brochures kind of tell a story, if you want to say that. Yes, it has the benefits and how things work in it, but we also have some great statistics in there. I mean, like just simple things. At least 70% of people over 65 will need long-term care services and support at some time. So you just, again, I stole my own thunder here, but the U.S. government estimates that the average cost of a nursing care facility is approximately $72,000 per year. So there's just different things like that in there that maybe you can use to kind of draw and make your point. Because if somebody has certainly ever had any experience dealing with a loved one, a family member, and had to go through the whole deal of, if they don't have enough ample money, getting them on Medicaid to spend down, or just trying to flat out have somebody come up with the money to cover nursing facility care or whatever it is, or home care. You can even look at it the same way as cancer, treating cancer. A large portion of what costs the expenses for treating cancer, it isn't covered by your health insurance. It isn't covered by Medicare. It isn't covered by the things that you would normally might be thinking it's covered. It's the indirect costs, right? It's the things that aren't covered that really get expensive and add up. And so just keep that in the back of your mind. But what is a period of care? It begins the first day of confinement in a hospital or nursing or assisted living facility due to a covered injury. And it's going to end when the person has been out of the hospital and doesn't require medical care for 60 continuous days, or has been out of a nursing facility or assisted living facility and doesn't require medical care for 180 continuous days. So the reason that you see two different numbers there, one being 60 days and one being 180 days, the 60 days is for hospital indemnity. So if you have, I mentioned earlier that you might just be in the hospital for pneumonia, and this policy could pay a daily hospital benefit while you're in there. Once you've been out of care and you're not any longer being treated for the pneumonia or whatever it might be for 60 continuous days, if you need to go back in, even if it is from the same sickness, illness, injury, whatever it is, if you have at least a 60-day continuous break in there, it will start paying again for your hospital indemnity benefit. And then it's 180 continuous days, 6 months essentially for nursing or assisted living facility. So you can actually use this policy multiple times if needed. Is the policy guaranteed renewable? Yes. So as long as the policy holders keep continually paying their premium, they're not going to see any changes. I think one of the nice things is that, besides the benefits being paid directly to the policyholder, which is always kind of a nice perk, unless they assign them to their doctor or provider or whoever it is, that again is money that goes right into their pocket and they can use it however they want. So if it happens to be something where whatever insurance plan they have may be picking up all of the bill for them, and there's anything that's paid out of this policy, again, it's indemnity, it's going to be paid directly to that policy holder unless they assign it. Do premiums increase because of age or health? No, they do not. We actually, the only product that we offer in the market space that actually goes up as you get older or because of your health is the Medicare product, Supplement. All of the other products, when you purchase them at the age of 50, 55, 60, or what have you, you're locked in at that rate. Just touched, earlier I mentioned about being a little easier to get through underwriting. It is a lot easier, really, if you think about it. If you take a look at the health questions, it's essentially one page, if that. It's just yes or no. There's no telephone interview required. On some of our old policies, we used to require a telephone interview given someone's age, but no longer. And the real thing that a person needs to do is just check the drug list. In every single packet that we have out there, there is a reference chart. It's actually an agent guide. And in the back of that agent guide is a list of the prescription drugs that would be knockout drugs that would not allow someone to qualify for the coverage based on their medication. A lot of those medications are obviously serious medications. So it's not the kind of list that you would typically see for an underwritten Medicare supplement or underwritten health insurance. And that's why if you're writing, long-term care, I don't know how many times you've had this happen, but I know I had it personally happen to me, where you go in to maybe write grandpa and grandma or mom and dad, and grandma or mom qualifies, but dad or grandpa does not qualify. And then mom or grandma doesn't want the coverage because her husband can't have it. This is a great product to fall back on. If she can qualify for the long-term care and has the funds to pay the premiums, then that's great. Go with it. But maybe you can get him to qualify qualify for a recovery care product and give him at least up to 2 years worth of coverage, so that if something does happen, again, you can look at the statistics and say, well, at least 70% of people over 65 are going to need some kind of long-term care services. It could be a variety of different things that they may need, but there's going to potentially be the need there. Pre-existing conditions, the policy pays for pre-existing conditions after it's been in force for 6 months, and benefits for all other covered injuries and sickness begins the date the policy is issued. So I think you're really going to enjoy the simplified underwriting on this. And I tell you, if you're savvy from the aspect of you like to do electronic applications, or what a lot of people call e-app, we have our platform where you can access all of these products from our e-app, from our website, which links right to our e-app, and you can virtually take an application right over the phone. And we have the electronic signature where you can send it to them via email. And, of course, you can still do paper, et cetera. But pretty slick process, pretty simplified. And, you can get back, obviously get your policies issued quicker by using the e-app too. I mentioned some of the product availability, where it's available, where it's not. I know this map kind of dated, it says July 2nd, but I don't think, just looking at the lay of the land there, that we've had any new approvals for any states for recovery care. So you can still see that there's a handful of states out there, depending on where you may be selling or maybe where you live, that isn't available, but we're still working working with DOI. Some folks just don't believe in it. But, it's funny because I look at these maps and every map's different, obviously, with the products that are available. And I think sometimes, I look at the cancer, you'd think cancer would be a pretty straightforward, or DVH. We have dental, vision, and hearing, which is a great product. It's obviously more available, but in more states, almost all states. But cancer insurance sometimes is even one that the DOIs aren't, you kind of scratch your head and you go, well, what's wrong with the cancer policy? But recovery care, home care, a little different animal. I know that there's always going to be that potential for people to, not really understand what they are and how they're meant to be used, and and get concerned about there being a conflict, if you want to call it that, with long-term care, or maybe the misrepresentation. And our idea is not to, have somebody mislead people, but to be able to get somebody that can't afford the expensive price of a long-term care policy and or can't qualify because of their health to at least get something like a recovery care or a home care product. And that's the goal. That's what we're going for. So,
Hey, Tony, just real quick, flip back to the map if you would.
Sure. It's coming. It's just a little slow on my end here.
No problem. There we go. Unfortunately, some of these states in black are states that the agents that have worked with us for a long period of time are familiar with in terms of the heavy regulatory footprint. We refer to them lovingly, California, Florida, and New York for sure, as part of the axis of evil when it comes to this kind of stuff. They just don't seem to have any grasp of the value of these. Minnesota, the ones that make no sense are Minnesota and Kansas, but they're consistently, and Washington, they're consistently products that push back, or states that push back on these kinds of things. So we know full well when we broadcast information out on a webinar that we don't have some of these products available in every state, but we also understand that agents now, by virtue of the internet and the ability to transact electronically, aren't just restricted to the domicile state, and we do want to make that opportunity available. So for the agents that are maybe frustrated it's not in your state, well, we're counting on the fact that you may be working in more than just one state. So I just wanted to throw that caveat in there real quick. Go ahead and keep going.
No, that's great. That's great. No, that's a good point. And that's one thing that I was kind of touching on our e-app, the electronic app, and having the electronic signature and all that fun stuff. It really does make it, there's no reason. Some of our biggest agents, individual producers, I know I've got a good friend that sells out of Idaho, and he writes all over the country. And, and of course we do have other offices that are like more geared towards telesales. The one thing I think about recovery care and home care, it's a different sell. And you guys and gals out there that are listening in, obviously, you have the long-term care flavor, and that's awesome. So you get these products, but there's a little bit more to them. And that's one thing that, I think makes individual agents, brokers that we work with, so valuable. And that's because you folks will have the conversation about recovery care. It's harder for somebody that's just doing, a telesales agent. It's easy for them to slam dunk med subs or slam dunk DVH because those are easy, or cancer to a degree. They're a little easier conversations to have. But when you start talking recovery care, home care, even hospital indemnity, hospital indemnity isn't just something everybody says, well, you don't wake up in the morning and go, wow, I wish I could get a hospital indemnity plan, or wow, I wish I really need to talk to an agent about recovery care. I'm concerned about, there's a little bit more to them, but, people are trained that, well, when I get up to age 65, I need a med sup or whatever. So I think that these are great products. And again, I appreciate you. I'm not done quite yet, but I appreciate you, again, letting me kind of pound on my chest here about this product. Compliance, I'm not going to really go through this slide. This is really more one we, from our compliance folks, they throw something in there for us. But basically, long story short is that if you happen to have any data saved, just, and something happens where your laptop gets stolen or like that, if it's not encrypted, just let us know. We are here to help. One thing I think that you can take advantage of is our dedicated agent services team. We have 3 different ways, obviously there's probably more ways, but 3 key ways to get a hold of us. And the Aetna, again, all these, the website and the telephone number and the email all come into our office out there in Franklin, Tennessee. So it's AETSSI information. That essentially is abbreviated for Aetna Senior Supplemental Insurance, is what that AETSSI information at Aetna.com. So that if you happen to have an email, when you're sitting around and you just fire off an email, could be general. You can obviously visit our website, which is AetnaSeniorProducts.com. And I mentioned already that we have our electronic applications are housed there. Our website is truly, if you have not checked it out, and if you're appointed with us, that's one thing I'll say is that you do need to be appointed with us prior to soliciting. But check it out and get in there and play around with it, because there's all kinds of great information. You can track your business. You can track your business. So like if you want to know your commissions, if you want to know, like maybe you sell a recovery care and you can't remember what daily benefit you sold someone. And they're calling you up, they're asking you some questions. If you sell a Medicare supplement and you don't know if you sold them a Plan F or a Plan G or possibly a Plan N, what their premium is, etc. All that information is there. You can also reach out For those of you that have been with us for a while, this is a new phone number. We used to have the 264-4000 number. Now it's 866-272-6630. We made significant upgrades to the telephone line. So when you call in now, you can actually, it's a smoother transition to get you to where you need to be or where you want to be. If you have questions from an underwriting aspect, call us. If you need to talk to somebody in commissions, call us. If you need to talk to somebody in claims, let us know. We also have claim information out on our website. If you're interested in, getting claim forms and different things like that, or what's needed, that information is out there as well. So they like to throw on here too that just make sure that if you do have, with this world of emails, I know we all get 1 million emails a day, maybe 1,000,010. Let us know if your email address changes, because that's one way we'll communicate back to you. Not just sending out our bulletins once a week or whatever, but also on, if something's missing during an underwriting process or something like that we need to reach out to you for, we'll use that email address. So that's it. Now, again, I know Mike had mentioned, things being available in a variety of different states. There's 3 other gentlemen that do what I do. We have George Pelicanos, who's in the Midwest region, Jeff Nasser, who's out in the East, and then in the South, Kevin Moore. Again, you can kind of see the designated, for those of you that are watching this and see it, can see the designated states that we work in. And then we also have, each one of us has a regional sales manager and then also a regional sales specialist. Just so you know, the regional sales specialists, the 4 that we have, Tanya, Rose, Colleen, and Suzanne, they're all internal employees in the home office. The regional sales manager, Dan works for me, Rick, Paul, and Justine, they're all out on the road like I am, and like George is, and Jeff and Kevin. So we're all out there doing different trainings and attending different events and, whatever the heck it is. So we're out there doing those types of things. But again, if you're in a particular state, you have questions, obviously feel free to, reach out directly to us in the home office, but otherwise let us know. One thing we've got going on right now too, and Mike, and I know you and I were trading some emails back and forth, but we do have for those of you that are interested in this bonus program, if you're interested in making a little extra cash, we do have a bonus going on right now, a bonus program. It's predominantly, steered around the $100 bonus per underwritten application on a underwritten app for Medicare Supplement. And then there's a $25 bonus per open enrollment. You have to do or have at least a minimum of 5 signed applications. But what we're also doing is, on top of that, we're paying a $25 bonus for each qualifying ancillary product. So recovery care falls into that category, and you just have to have a minimum of $180 in annual premium in order to start collecting the $25. So again, you can learn more about this at our website, aetnaseniorproducts.com. The other nice thing about it too is if you go in there, you can actually track your status. And I know one thing that I probably don't have a slide on here, and I don't know why they don't have it in here, but we also have, in addition to that, we have our contest, our annual contest that we'll be going to next year, so qualifying all through this year through December 31st, our trip to San Francisco. And so that's always a real, a great trip wherever we go, whenever we go. But it's something to keep in mind as well. With that program, you have to have, it's all based on annualized new business premium, and you have to have $175,000 in annual new business premium. And the way that works is if you sell a Medicare supplement, we give you dollar for dollar. So in easy layman's terms, if you sell a med supp and it's $1,200, we give you $1,200 or $1,200 credit that goes towards that $175,000 goal. The final expense that we have out there, we actually pay 2 to 1, so we double it. And the nice thing about it is the ancillary products, so the recovery care, hospital indemnity, home care, et cetera, that we're talking about, that actually we take it times 3. So we triple it. And I think one nice thing we did a year ago, I think it was, or maybe 2 years ago, we actually lowered the qualification from $200,000 in A and BP for an agent to qualify to $175,000. So we knocked $25,000 worth of production off of that to get, hopefully, to make it more appealing to you and get you on one of our Aetna trips. Okay, so with that all being said, Mike, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add at this particular point or how you want to do this, but that's about all I had for now.
All right, nothing really to add. Our agents are really, most of them tell me they're in this for philanthropic reasons, so I'm not sure the bonus stuff appeals to them. They just want to help folks out, trips, same kind of a thing. But you never know when somebody's going to want to show up and go to a cool place. So let's take a minute and unmute some folks here. As I always tell you, folks, as we unmute, if you're not planning on asking any questions, if you could self-mute, that'd be fantastic. Keeps the quality of the recording solid for us as a resource for everybody. And we are go ahead and pretty well opened up now. So if you have questions, please jump in. We had a couple in the chat box that I was able to deal with that were specific to territories and stuff, and we got that taken care of. So
okay, great, awesome.
United of Omaha, it doesn't.
Well, all right, somebody's having a sales meeting. We'll stop that. Okay.
That's the old company I used to work for here, United of Omaha.
Yeah, we get that a lot. We have a fair number of agents that write a fair number of policies with the various Omaha entities, and for which we're greatly appreciative, but we don't want to overrun what we're doing with other things. So, all right, so anybody with questions for Tony?
Well, and like I said, if you're out there and you can't think of anything now and something comes up later, just let us know, because we really, I know from Aetna, our standpoint, we're making a huge push this year, and we started, like I said, a couple of years ago, but we're really making a push in these ancillary products. And while everything's going chipper and great with med sups, we understand that these types of products, are what it's about. I mean, these are the things that can help people out tremendously. And, so I think if you guys and gals just get out there and start talking about it, if you're not already doing it, it'll really add some value.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We preach this, what you're talking about, we preach that at a significant level. It's really important to remember. I talk about, because I get requests from agents or comments from agents about this all the time. Agents are always telling us they need more people to talk to. Well, 9 out of every 10 people that you're going to have a conversation with, frankly, 9 out of every 10 people in your book of business, agents, okay, those people have not had a long-term care conversation, which means they are, I don't want to say ripe for the picking, but the thing is, nobody's talked to them about protecting their version of the American dream. Okay, nobody has stepped in and said, hey, what are you doing? What can we do to help you out? They may be scared because of health changes. They may be scared because of what they think is a financial commitment that may not be anywhere near as much as they've led themselves to believe it is. But just starting that conversation with folks, you'll be surprised at how many opportunities you'll have. And the underwriting, the smoother underwriting process, let's just call it that, will be beneficial for them. It will be beneficial for you as well. So we strongly encourage folks to just start including that in the phone conversations you have, including it in the face-to-face conversations. So really appreciate you making your time available here for our crew today. We're going to give it one last pass for questions. Otherwise, we're going to let everybody get back to getting out there and talking about selling. If you need to get your Aetna contracting done, please shoot me an email at mike.anderson@yaim.com. I'll get that paperwork back to you. We sort of, Cass and we sort of look aside with this, but the reality is in virtually every state, it's a requirement that you be appropriately contracted with the carrier before you actually have those conversations with folks. And it will also allow you to be farther down the path towards utilizing those electronic resources that Tony talked about if we get you started on getting contracting now. So if you need contracting, shoot me an email. Tony, thanks for joining us here today, folks. Reminder, next webinar, November 6th, Larry Moore and Stephanie Paul here in our office be on board with Lincoln Money Guard. So thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Have a
Tony.
good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.